Well, hi, I'm Rick Reiff, and welcome to Inside OC. The turmoil on Wall Street hits Main Street. On this special edition of Consider This, we'll see how the real estate slump is impacting 3 Orange County cities, and we'll discuss where the economy goes from here. But first, we look at what's likely to happen at the ballot box on November 4th. Joining me to do so, Gene Pasco, former Times and Register reporter, and now the director of the Orange County Archives. Frank Barbaro, chairman of the Orange County Democratic Party, and Republican pollster Adam Probolsky. Welcome all.
Thanks, Rick.
So, Gene, McCain versus Obama. All right, right now the presumption is Obama's way ahead. In Orange County, John Kerry got slaughtered by almost a margin of 300,000 votes. That's going to be the big question here. Is Obama going to be John Kerry, or is he going to be Bill Clinton, who didn't lose by that big a margin?
Well, actually, Clinton was about 150, and Kerry lost by about 222. So the question for Scott Baugh is, can he make those margins? And you know, the rule of thumb was in Orange County, you'd have to really get over 200,000 to make a difference to kind of counterbalance the rest of the state.
What's your best guess?
I think that is going to be tough for McCain. But in Orange County, given his popularity here, he might be able to pull it off.
Really? So still, Scott's going to be able to deliver a big vote. What do you think, Frank, as the guy who has to go up against Scott Baugh here in Orange County? Are you going to narrow that margin?
Bring him on is our saying on that. I actually believe that Barack will do a lot better in Orange County than anybody expects. I expect him to take the city of Irvine.
All right, so just give me a number, the margin. What do you think the margin's going to be?
I don't think it's going to be over. I think it'll be less than 150,000.
Less than 150. That's
yes.
Bill Clinton territory. What do you think, Adam?
Well, the job of the Republican Party is to get Republicans out to vote, and there's some other important things on the ballot as well, like Prop 8 and Prop 4 that we'll maybe talk about. So we're going to have a big push. Scott Baugh, the chairman of the Republican Party, has made it clear that we're going to have every single precinct covered, walking every precinct. We're calling thousands of voters every day. It's a big challenge, but we're doing it.
And there's been some Republicans who haven't been thrilled with John McCain in Orange County.
He's our nominee. And
okay, so what's the margin? What do you think it's going to be?
We're fighting.
Okay, all right. Well, and there's also a congressional race here that has been drawing some interest. Is it Loretta Sanchez versus Bob Dornan all over again, or is it just Democrat wishful thinking? David Nazar has this report.
He's a senior member of Congress, Huntington Beach's favorite son, Dana Rohrabacher. Congressman Rohrabacher has been on Capitol Hill for 20 years, and a win on November 4th would give him his 11th term in office. Rohrabacher's resume reads like a feature film. He worked in the White House as Ronald Reagan's speechwriter and with the former president to try and help end the Cold War. Rohrabacher even took it upon himself to travel to Afghanistan in the late 80s to fight alongside the then freedom-fighting Mujahideen against Soviet troops. Oh yeah, and he likes to surf. These days, politics aside, the congressman says he has a new lease on life.
God sort of gave me everything. I've been able to do it all. I've been able to do those things I believe in, do those risky things that I've done in my life, but at the same time, now I've got a wonderful home here in Huntington Beach and 3 lovely children, 1 boy and 2 girls, and I'm just a very happy person in my soul.
Of course, politics is still the other part of Rohrabacher's life, and he says it's his years on the Hill that will earn him another term.
I have the experience, and plus, of course, with 20 years in Washington, I now have seniority, which helps me be able to accomplish some of the things that I've been able to accomplish.
This is candidate Debbie Cook, the mayor of Huntington Beach. Mayor Cook has been on the council since 2000, and this is her second go-around as mayor. Cook has a degree in earth science from Cal State Long Beach, a law degree, and she ran a business for 15 years. After decades of being a community activist and advocate, as she calls herself, Mayor Cook decided to get into politics to make a difference. She's an avid backpacker and hiker. She and her husband have a 32-year-old son and a 1-year-old grandson. The mayor's great-grandfather served during the entire Civil War for the Union, and her father fought in World War II and Korea, serving in the Navy. Now Mayor Cook says she wants to serve in Congress by effecting change that would begin with a solution to the energy crisis.
I mean, we do live in a finite world, and it's becoming apparent that our ability to extract more and more resources at an ever-quickening pace is over. Our population has grown too much, and the scale of our consumption is too great. We are now trying to pull those last remaining small resources out of the ground.
On the local level, Cook says clean air, clean water, an improved transportation system, and a clean port are vital. She says she's ready to work on these issues.
It was never my goal to be in Congress. It was always my goal to make a difference. And I saw this as an opportunity to make a huge difference.
Congressman Rohrabacher says his Republican ideology is embraced by a majority of his district, and that will also help him win this election.
I have the fundamental beliefs and principles that they believe in, that they agree with. This is a more conservative district. It's a Republican district that went heavily for Ronald Reagan and all of the Republican candidates, because we believe in limited government and we believe in less taxation and less regulation.
I would argue he's not popular, and many of his ideas are not popular because they're so divisive.
Rohrabacher says his experience covers everything from foreign affairs to technology and aerospace. And he says on the local level, his priorities are also air quality, water issues, and freeway and port congestion. On the national level, the congressman voted against the $700 billion economic rescue package. He says he's tough on immigration and will never grant amnesty or health care benefits to illegal immigrants. And he says a surge is working and the war in Iraq must be won.
I do think radical Islam would be tremendously encouraged and emboldened if it looked like we were retreating from Iraq.
On the national scene, Mayor Cook says the economic rescue package was flawed. However, she would have voted for it because something needed to be done. Cook says Rohrabacher's immigration approach keeps the U.S. mired in what she calls hateful rhetoric, and she says a compromise is needed to solve this problem and help illegal immigrants. And with regards to the war in Iraq,
I obviously don't believe we should have been there in the first place, that it really is ultimately about the resource there, the oil resource. We wouldn't have gone in there had they not had oil.
No matter what their difference is, both candidates say they know who they are really working for.
I think that people recognize that, as my father always used to say, Dana's for the little guy. I'm watching out for the little guy, and I'm willing to take on the big guys.
When somebody says inexperience, well, you don't need experience to make a difference. You just get in there and you start working.
Voters will have the final say when they cast their ballots. In Huntington Beach, David Nazar reporting.
So, Adam, an interesting contrast there. Is this going to be Loretta Sanchez, too?
No, and what the voters know already, and the rest of them that don't will, is that Debbie Cook is out of touch with the district. She is a woman who advocates for $5 a gallon gas because she thinks people will go out and buy hybrid cars when her constituents, the constituents of that district, having difficulty putting food on the table today. This is a woman who told Walmart she didn't want them in Huntington Beach. And now you've got a whole group of people who could have been buying cheaper groceries. She's just out of touch with the community.
What about that, Frank? Is she out of touch?
Absolutely not. The one that's been out of touch but nobody knew about it is Dana Rohrabacher. This gentleman represents 46 linear miles of oceanfront.
Okay.
And yet he is saying, drill, baby, drill. If that had ever been communicated to those voters, he would have been out a long time ago.
Adam thinks it's going to be Dana. What do you think?
I think that Debbie Cook is
You
going to...
think Debbie Cook's going to
I think
win?
it's going to be the biggest upset in the country.
Okay. Gene, and finally, just quickly, is going to be an upset?
The voter registration is too heavily in favor of Republicans. So if Debbie wins, everyone will have their jaw dropping on Wednesday.
Okay, Frank, the Great Park balloon right now is painted as a jack-o'-lantern. Is it smiling for Larry Agron?
Yes, it is. And the reason that it's smiling for Larry and for Beth and for Suki is the fact that Irvine has done so well. It's listed by Business Week magazine just a week ago as being one of the top 25 cities in the nation that would be able to withstand this economic recession. It is, for the fourth year in a row, the safest city in the United States. It's the work that Debbie Cook is going to be taking to Congress that Larry and Suki and Beth have accomplished in Irvine that is going to carry the day.
What do you think, Adam?
Well, I look at the mayor's race because that's the thing that I think is most contentious, and it's Suki King versus Christina Shea. And Christina Shea is the darling of the city. The voters love her. She's got great name ID and a lot of positive communication, a lot of positive interaction with the community. And Larry Agron's an evil genius, and Suki King is pretty much an empty suit. You can have some of that progress with Larry Agron as mayor, even though he's done it in a very liberal way. So what do you think happens
as far as the slate? Which slate will wind up winning? Will Larry Agron maintain his control in Irvine? when all is said and done?
I don't know when this is said and done, but I think Christina will win the mayor's spot because she's got a
but that
relationship
doesn't
with the
change the
voters.
balance. So what do you think, Gene? What do you think about that race, and do you see the balance changing there?
Well, I think traditionally we've seen Larry be able to run really tough campaigns. Christina, though, is well liked in the city, and she's been mayor before. So, boy, I don't know on that one.
Okay, Adam, and quickly in Anaheim, we've got Lori Galloway under attack from Disney because of that vote on the SunCal thing, and Harry Sidhu. Some people think he's in trouble now, and of course. Pringle needs Sidhu to win. Kurt Pringle, the mayor, would like Sidhu to win. He'd like to see Galloway replaced. Is he going to get his wish?
I think it's a tough job. You've got two incumbents seeking re-election, and both of them have good connections with the voters. There's two candidates right on their heels, though. You've got John Karczynski on the Republican side and Gail Eastman, who's a declined estate voter who's being supported by the mayor. I think it's going to be tough to change that place up.
Okay. Frank, what do you think?
I think Lori Galloway wins in Anaheim. I think that the people I speak to in Anaheim are really happy that she's taking on the Disney establishment and speaking for the little people.
Okay, Gene, just quickly in Santa Ana, an interesting upstart. Michelle Martinez running against Miguel Polito. Does she have a chance, and does it say, is this an interesting development that's going on in Santa Ana?
Well, it's an interesting development. She has really a tough fight to take on a mayor who's been reelected over 14 years. But the fact that she did it, and she's a sitting member of the council, now the rest of her council members are backing Miguel Polito, the mayor, for reelection. So she's got an open seat, so she's got a safe seat, so she can stay on the council for another 2 years. But the fact that she's challenging the mayor, and it's somebody that's sitting on the council, really sends a message.
She's very young. She's got a real hard scrabble background. Does she tap? Is she tapping any kind of constituency here, Frank? Go ahead.
The answer is no. You've got a mayor who's a progressive mayor of a progressive city advancing the ball. He's a Democrat, but it's a Democrat city, and he's accomplished big things in his time in the mayor's post.
So we don't have any upset there.
Nothing changes.
Okay, all righty. How's the economy hitting Orange County? That's next.
On upcoming editions of Real Orange, local choirs get in tune for an interfaith festival just in time for the holidays. Top Orange County chefs turn recipes from the Boy Scout cookbook into classic cuisine. And we'll take you through some of the ABCs of digital television. And we'll be live election night. That's Tuesday, November 4th at 6:30 and 11 p.m. with all the latest local results. Join us for those stories and more, weeknights at 6:30 and 11 on Real Orange.
And I'm back with Gene Pasco, Frank Barbaro, and Adam Probolsky. Well, we now are faced with this economy, and 30,000 jobs lost year to year in Orange County. Home sales are up. They're up very nicely, but prices are down hugely. Let me ask you, Frank, how bad is the economy here?
In Orange County, I think that the economy here is not the greatest. We see it in our retail sales. We see it in some of the businesses that are shutting down. But I think Orange County is going to withstand this period of time a lot better than most places.
Adam, do you share that view that we're going to withstand it better?
I think we will. We have a more diverse economy. We have tech and we have tourism. We've got a beach that attracts people. But the fact is, we are the ground zero for the housing bubble, and a lot of people are going to be hurting. I think we're going to see some big changes. The people that have the Beamer and the Porsche in the garage are probably going to be
We have a higher
something
floor,
else.
so we won't fall as much, but we went up so high that we've got a long drop. I see you nodding. Do you agree with that, Gene?
Well, yes, and frankly, North Orange County is the one that's really been hit. The cities up there, a lot of them have had the higher proportion of the foreclosures, and that's really going to have a huge effect on everything, ability to fund local government, schools, and everything else.
Speaking of which, some Orange County cities with major construction projects are feeling the effects. David Nazar has this story.
Well, we would have thought it would have been completed by now.
San Clemente Mayor Joe Anderson is talking about the Marblehead Coastal Development, 350 acres of land set aside for about 300 multi-million-dollar Ocean Bluff homes. The project was also slated to have about 600,000 square feet of commercial property, including a hotel and retail space, and even a sports park that would house multiple athletic fields, an eventual $3 million in added revenue to the city when all was said and done. Now, nothing. A bold vision, a bad economy.
Really active construction pretty much stopped early this year. and then really almost nothing was going on for several months. A couple of months ago, the project started again, so to speak, but now it's almost stopped again.
Mayor Anderson says the developers, SunCal in this case, have one problem, a financial one.
Most, if not all, of their financing came from Lehman Brothers, and funding was terminated. Now, of course, Lehman Brothers is in bankruptcy, so that throws the whole matter of continuing funding into question.
Look, I think everybody in every community is experiencing this.
That's Tustin Mayor Jerry Amonte. Mayor Amonte and other leaders were instrumental in helping create the Legacy Project, 1,600 acres of real estate on the former Tustin military base. That's expected to be a thriving part of the city. 4,500 homes, 10 million square feet of office buildings, hotels, and retail. Now, construction is slowing down, with parts of the project on hold.
Housing development has slowed. People are not racing to put housing stock into the marketplace. There's no buyers for it to begin with because of the depressed real estate market. The credit crunch has made it tough for even qualified buyers to find loans. And frankly, the banks are concerned about their own liquidity and stability. So it's not a great market in which to be building.
You know, I'm frustrated because I'm someone who wants to get it all done now.
Anaheim Mayor Kurt Pringle is referring to the city's expansive and expensive Platinum Triangle, a community within a community around Angel Stadium between the 57 and 5 freeways. The city created the Platinum Triangle in 2004. It started as an 800-acre project, 400 acres of mixed use with 9,500 residential units and 7 million square feet of office and commercial space. In fact, with a project in high demand at one time, those numbers eventually increased to a proposed 15,000 residential units with 21 million square feet of commercial.
A lot of the projects you see under development now were originally planned and entitled as condominiums, now will open as apartments and will be apartments until the market conditions change.
Mayor Pringle says financial constraints are disrupting some of the other plans as well.
Some of the bigger developments that never really started, like some of the Lennar development, as well as activity on the Anaheim Stadium property, those projects, because of financing and the difficulties to enter the market today in financing, may be delayed.
And Adam, in your town of Irvine, of course, the Great Park has slowed down. How long do you think it's going to take for these things to get back on track?
Talking to people that know and do this sort of thing, it's 3 to 5 years before we have anything really significant built again in Orange County.
Wow. It's going to be tough. Well, listen, also last week there was an extraordinary hearing in Congress, Judge Henry Waxman, if you will, with Alan Greenspan. That got most of the attention as Chairman Greenspan was humbled. Right next to him was our own Chris Cox from Orange County, and here's an exchange between Cox and a Democratic congressman.
My question is, where have you been all these years? Mr. Cox, last month you announced that the SEC would begin requiring hedge fund managers, broker-dealers, and institutional investors to disclose their credit default swap holdings. That's a terrific step. That's real nice. But you took that step after Senator McCain said, and I quote, "He has betrayed the public trust." The former head of Hewlett-Packard said that you were, quote, asleep at the switch.
All I can do is tell you what I see as chairman that we don't have authority to do. We don't have authority to regulate credit default swaps because Congress hasn't given us that authority.
Well, let me ask you about what you could.
Needs to do this now, and
Mr. Cox, let me ask you about what you could do.
Okay, well, Frank, as the Democratic chairman, you must be delighted when you see John McCain, the Republican candidate, ripping a prominent Republican. But what do you make of some of the fire that Chris came under?
I don't think it's fair. I think Chris Cox has been a really good representative for Orange County, one of the best we've had. He's delivered a lot of things here. He did not deserve to become John McCain's scapegoat. And I think that I think history will show that he did not have the power and that he was definitely not asleep at the switch.
Well, a very gracious, nonpartisan remark there on your part. And you know, really, I watched that hearing. I watched the whole thing, and anybody who's a junkie ought to go on C-SPAN and watch it. It was fascinating. Greenspan got hammered. I thought Cox carried himself very well and really in his very intellectual way, suggested Congress had a lot of the responsibility for this. Your thoughts, Adam?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Chris Cox did everything he had with the tools that he had available to him. Yesterday, he suggested merging with the agency that oversees the futures markets. He wants to make progress and have some sort of agency that actually looks at all the markets. And had that been in place a year ago, 2 years ago, we probably wouldn't have been in this place.
Yeah, and Gene, the financial world is changing before our eyes. Here, the great Greenspan, now humbled, and here in Orange County, the toll road, the private toll road is talking about going to the federal government for $1 billion loan. Is this the end of capitalism as we've known it?
Well, I think we reached that, about a month ago? But with the toll road people are very quick to say, this is not a bailout, it's a loan. And, obviously, a lot of people are trying to term these things properly, but I think it's something that they haven't tried to go for before. And this is, this is huge, and it's all tied in to this attempt to try to actually blend the two agencies. And I think we're going to see a lot of movement on the transportation side because we have essentially 3 different transportation agencies in Orange County.
Frank, the government now looks like it's going to be running everything. Are you, as a Democrat, happy about this as you see the government taking over?
Well, where the government needs to take over, for example, with the bailout, yes. But for the most part, I was very happy with the status quo. I'm not a big government guy, but I do absolutely believe that government has a purpose, and there's a reason why government does certain things. I mean, you've got to acknowledge that we need government. I mean, you can't be an anarchist and ride your car on a dirt road.
Okay, we're getting short on time. I'd like to get each of you an upset. Adam, do you think there's a proposition or a race that is going to be an upset? People are going to be surprised.
No.
Okay. Gene?
Yeah, I don't see a big upset other than Republicans in Orange County will be upset if Obama wins.
Okay.
That's the only upset I see.
That will be the upset.
Yes.
Okay, and Frank, you already said Debbie Cook. You're actually on record. Debbie Cook's going to win. You got another one for us?
Well, I think that it's going to be close, or that Bill Hedrick will beat Ken Calvert in the 44th.
Adam, you almost fell off your chair when he said
Calvert's a client. I know he's going to win.
Okay, how about Prop 8? That's the gay marriage, the ban on gay marriage. Is that going to go up or down?
Extremely tight. In a place where we're at, where people are worried about the economy, social issues take a back seat, and it's going to be very, very close.
So that'll be tight. What do you think, Gene?
Well, I think this is one where the poll just came out showing it was down 8 points, even with all the spending that they've done. So at this point, unless there's
Prop 8
something,
goes down.
Yeah, unless something happens.
Frank, what do you think?
I don't think that there's that many homophobics in California. I think that it's going to go down.
Okay. And finally, is there going to be a Bradley? Speaking of Obama, is there going to be that Bradley effect? Some people who say they're voting for Obama, and when they get in the booth, they won't do it.
I think if there is, it's overwhelmed by the cell phone effect of the folks that are not getting polled in these polls.
Very good. You can watch this show and past shows by going to KOC.org and clicking on Inside OC. My excellent guests have been Gene Pasco, Frank Barbaro, and Adam Probolsky. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again Inside OC.
Inside OC is brought to you by the following.
Lennar.com. Today's new homes. Everything you want. Everything you need. That's the logic of Lennar. Lennar.com.
Support comes from City National Bank, providing complete financial solutions to entrepreneurs, their businesses, and their families on the way up in Orange County for more than 30 years. City National Bank believes in the power of the entrepreneur. On the web at cnb.com.
The City of Anaheim. Founded in 1857, Anaheim is Orange County's original city and California's 10th largest city. Information on living, working, or visiting Anaheim is available at www.anaheim.net.
The law firm Stradling, Yaka, Carlson & Routh, a full-service corporate law firm in Southern California, celebrating 30 years, serving businesses and the communities of Orange County with valuable legal advice.